the focus isn't just on flying.
Why do you love it?
I think I've already mentioned the challenge of it. That's part of it. You could always there's never if you walk away from a landing and you're completely happy with it, I think you're probably not thinking on the right lines. For me, I always try and think about how can I do it better, and for me that's a great appeal.
So it's about constantly improving yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then you never achieve that final aim because you just keep going, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, final thought. Another aerobatic display team, of course, the Yakolev. So
we don't need to plug ourselves. We're already very well known, so no need to. Well, I'm quite happy to plug the blades. They need all the help they can get. So, well, for me it's slightly different. I'm an examiner for the CAA, so I tend to see people coming in, and the PPL is a set routine where you start at A and you go through to Z. So when people are learning to fly, they've got this routine they have to go through. So they are pushed automatically. At the end of it, it's suddenly, wow, what do I do now? And I think clubs around the world do fall down and they do not spend enough time inspiring the new student pilots to become a pilot. You know, as Emma said, here at Compton we are incredibly lucky because we have a very tight-knit community and we will go off and do things. And suddenly the Fly Buddy program, where 3 or 4 people get together and go out flying, means that, hang on, I'm not on my own now. So when you've got your PPL, they go, gosh, I'm on my own. If you can show they're not, and show them new things, whether it is aerobatics, formation flying, or doing dawn patrols, anything like that, there is an awful lot more to do. They just have to go out and find a good club, and that's the trick. A good club will help you move on.
So is it a lack of ambition, though, that people pass and then they just don't have any more goals? Is that it?
I think it's more lack of knowledge. I think they're just not geared up because they're so focused on the PPL. And although we've alluded earlier on that it's not particularly hard to become a good pilot, airspace is becoming more and more complex. So flying an aeroplane is very simple. It's operating it in some of the airspaces around the country. It does take a bit of time, and it's the continual education that we need to work on, so that if you're in a good environment, for example, and I'm not going to keep plugging Compton, but we are a good example where we have club nights where it's come down, let's talk about Mode S transponders. Come down, let's talk about the new ways of going around the London TMA, keeping people up to date, and then by doing that, it will inspire people to go on and keep flying.
I was going to add one thing. There's a lot of information out there, not just from your local club, but there's quite a lot of books that have been written specifically for this purpose, what to do beyond your PPL. There's a book called 101 Things to Do with Your PPL. I mean, those are great places to start. I mean, even before you've got a license, start flicking through them and read them and say, actually, yeah, you know, I really want to do this. I want to go to Europe. I want to fly down to Greece for my holiday, because you can do that, you know. So there we go.
Possibilities are endless with flying. We're loving it. Hopefully you are too. If you are thinking of giving up, though, think again, because there is so much fun to be had in the sky. Hopefully that was useful to you. As I say, lots more advice, lots more information for you over the coming weeks and months here on fullflat.tv.
Let's take a look back at what you missed last week. Firstly, you missed the grand tour around Pooley's Air Day.
Welcome to the Pooley's Air Day 2009. If this is the first time you're hearing about this event, then, well, you missed it. Where were you?
The Russians may have brought us a laughing stock that was a larder car, potatoes, extreme mustaches, but they shot us up their aircraft. The Yak-50 and the 52, which are used by the Yakolev team, were built back in the 70s, but are still the weapon of choice for many teams and private aerobatic junkies around the world.
You will cruise nicely at 90 knots. It's just brilliant, and over half of the training aircraft in the world are Pipers, so you know what you're getting. It's a reliable aircraft, and it is great to fly, very forgiving, so may not be the prettiest, but I most certainly would want to get up and fly in it.
If you just turned it off and you left it unfeathered the way it is, the engine will try to rotate, or the drag on the propeller. So this has a feathering device, as you can see, that the propeller is then fully feathered. This resists the motor turning and of course reduces the drag on the propeller.
FFTV is for anyone who loves aviation, which is why we have airline pilots and wannabe pilots watching. If you surf the net, you'll know there's plenty of advice from people who've never actually flown. So with so many pilots here and such a huge amount of experience, we decided to ask for a few flying top tips.
The top tip for me is during the seasonal changes between summer and autumn.
If you missed the tour around the Air Day or any of our other shows, then please do just sign up, and we will send you all of the details in our weekly emails.
Oh, by the way, don't forget that we'll be listing all newly qualified pilots at the bottom of our screen. So if you're a student or a PPL newly qualified, or you're an instructor of a student, give us a shout at pilots@fullflap.tv, and we'll pick you up.
Remember, and in fact, while there's not too many people know about this yet, you might get even more prominence. If you look on the ticker at the bottom, you'll see all those names on there. Now, so that was a look around the Pooley's Air Day. What about that interview about a $30,000 helicopter? Well, if you missed it last week, here's a taster.
Gross weight is about 610 pounds, and so it's a very light helicopter. It burns about 5 gallons of fuel per hour, and you're going to cruise around about 75 miles an hour, even with floats on. This little helicopter you really get a lot for your money. I mean, you know, most helicopters are starting at well over $200,000, more like $250 to $300. And here you can buy this kit and build it yourself for $30,000. And then the operating cost of it is about $30 per hour. You've got roughly $10 an hour involved in replacement components. And, you know, based on whatever fuel's costing, it's burning 5 gallons an hour, but roughly $20 an hour for the gas will cover it. And it has a very low acquisition cost and a very low operating cost.
So it's basically a good excuse for using something to visit the relatives if you haven't seen them recently. Get in there and out quick.
You can just drop in on your friends and your family, and the beauty of it is you don't have to give them all a ride.
And you can see part 2 with the Mosquito next week. Plus, also John has an exclusive trip just for fullflap.tv members, so watch out for that in the next few weeks.
Vicky, can I interrupt you just for a moment?
Of course you can.
Okay, Claire from Air Safaris International. Everyone is laughing around me right now because Claire told me he could get me a decent hat. Well, this I put on for you, mate. So if you're watching this right now, is it okay?
I think, well, he said the trick was that you had to really squash it up like this.
Vicky?
And then it bounced back. Oh, it bounces
No,
back!
it doesn't. It doesn't. It's a load of rubbish. Anyway, enough of this idleness. I'm going to put this on.
Well, that's it for this week. You're watching fullflap.tv.